Imagine you're just walking down the street. You're completely minding your own business, maybe going over your mental to-do list for the day.
Right, just a normal morning.
Exactly. And it rained heavily the night before, so there are just these massive puddles everywhere.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Yeah. Suddenly, this huge, incredibly expensive vehicle comes roaring past you. You hear that unmistakable, dreadful sound of a tire hitting stagnant water.
That heavy splash.
The chop, chop sound.
Yeah.
And before you can even blink, you are entirely covered in a thick, cold slurry of street mud.
Ugh, the absolute worst.
It is. And the car doesn't slow down. The driver doesn't look back.
Yeah.
You were just left standing there, completely humiliated, while the vehicle that ruined your morning disappears into the distance.
It's just a feeling of utter infuriating powerlessness.
It really is. Now, what would you do next? Would you wipe your face and go home in defeat? Or would you, I don't know, declare a one-man war on the entire system that allowed that driver to think they could get away with it?
Well, that is the precise, universally relatable, inciting incident of the brilliant narrative we're unpacking today.
Welcome to this very special video broadcast for the Simplified Summary YouTube channel. Today, we are diving deep into a story of mud, motor cars, and mob justice.
It is a wild ride.
It really is. But hey, before we get our hands dirty, I want to humbly ask you, right off the bat, to please hit that subscribe button.
Yes, and definitely drop a like on this video.
Please do. And share your valuable thoughts in the comment section below as we go along. Your support is what helps us keep bringing you these deep dives.
We really appreciate it.
We do. So today's mission is to extract the entire narrative and the underlying social commentary of a single, highly entertaining short story. It's titled Motor Casitay.
Which translates to splashes from a motor car.
Exactly. We are going to explore how a simple, everyday annoyance transforms into an escalating, hilarious, and ultimately thought-provoking tale of class warfare.
And street justice. To give you some necessary context, this story is pulled directly from the classic Hindi literature collection, Mansarovar Part 2.
Written by the legendary author Munshi Premchand.
Right. Premchand was writing primarily in the early 20th century, which was a time when Indian society was undergoing massive, massive shifts.
He was a master at capturing the realities of ordinary people.
He really was. And in this specific piece, he uses the seemingly minor incident, a pedestrian getting splashed by a new, modern machine, to expose some very deep, very uncomfortable social fractures.
Fractures regarding class, caste, and modernization.
Precisely.
Okay, let's unpack this because the setup Premchand creates is just perfect. The story opens on a morning after a heavy rain. The roads are riddled with muddy puddles.
Setting the stage for disaster.
Completely. And our protagonist, who is a Pandit, is walking along, totally lost in his own thoughts.
It's crucial we pause here and understand who this protagonist actually is. A Pandit is a Hindu priest or scholar. He traditionally belongs to the Brahmin caste, which is the highest caste in the traditional social hierarchy.
So his entire identity, his societal respect, and his livelihood are tied to concepts of purity.
Cleanliness and spiritual authority, yes.
That context makes the inciting incident so much more devastating. That motor car speeds past with a loud chop chop, and it splashes that thick mud right into the Pandit's face.
It's brutal. Premchand actually breaks down the exact layers of ruin this single splash causes.
It is way more than just a physical inconvenience, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Consider the socioeconomic reality of this character. Premchand lists the damages systematically. First, his traditional clothes are completely defiled by the street mud.
Which is a massive blow to his required state of purity.
Exactly. Second, his body is dirtied. But third, and perhaps most importantly, he faces an immediate financial crisis.
Because he is on his way to see a client.
Yes, his judge man.
Right. A judge man is a patron who relies on the Pandit to perform religious rituals or astrological readings, right?
Correct. The relationship is heavily based on respect and the Pandit's presentation of spiritual authority.
He absolutely cannot arrive at his patron's house looking like he just crawled out of a swamp.
Not a chance. It would ruin his credibility and cost him his income for the entire day.
And to make matters worse, his own home is nearly a mile away. He's stranded in this state of total indignity.
And the humiliation doesn't stop with the lost wages.
No, it doesn't. He isn't suffering in isolation. The people on the street, the ordinary passersby, actually stop to point, laugh, and clap at his misery.
It becomes a public spectacle.
Internally, he is already dreading the scolding he's going to get from his wife, the Pandit.
Oh yeah, when he eventually walks through his front door covered in muck.
It is the ultimate bad morning.
It really is. If we connect this to the bigger picture, Premchand is illustrating a profound sense of helplessness that still resonates today.
Think of modern parallels.
Right, like internet trolls or aggressive drivers.
Yeah.
The person in the motor car is entirely insulated from the consequences of their actions.
Insulated by a barrier of wealth, glass, and steel.
Exactly. They inflict damage and speed away, leaving the vulnerable pedestrian to deal with the literal and emotional fallout.
Usually in these situations, the victim just mutters a curse, accepts defeat, and walks home in shame.
But here is where it gets really interesting.
Yes, our Pandit does not accept defeat.
Not at all.
Instead of going home, he decides it is his absolute duty to retaliate. He makes a vow of revenge right there on the side of the muddy road.
He gathers 10 to 12 sizable stones.
And he sets up an ambush, waiting for another motor car to come along.
It's a striking image. The pedestrian armed with nothing but rocks gathered from the dirt.
Preparing to take on the symbol of modern, wealthy, mechanized power.
A real David versus Goliath setup.
Sure enough, a car approaches. The Pandit assumes it might be the exact same one returning from the train station.
And as it gets close, he unleashes his strike.
He throws that first stone with all his might, and it knocks the Sahib's hat right off his head.
The wealthy gentleman in the car.
Right. The physical comedy Premchand employs here is incredibly vivid.
Well, it serves a very specific thematic purpose.
It does. The car slows down in confusion, and the Pandit throws a second stone. This one shatters the window of the car and cuts the Sahib's cheek.
Drawing blood.
Drawing blood. The car stops. The Sahib gets out. His immediate reaction is to raise his fist, call the Pandit a pig, and threaten to hand him over to the police.
Notice the Sahib's instinct there.
He instantly relies on systemic power.
Exactly. He invokes the police, the institution designed to protect his class, his property, and his status.
He expects the system to handle this unruly pedestrian.
But the Pandit is way past caring about systemic threats.
There is a fantastic visual detail in this scene that carries so much weight. The Pandit is carrying his Pathipatra.
As astrology books.
Right. When the Sahib threatens him, the Pandit literally drops his holy books into the mud.
Wow.
He grabs the Sahib by the waist, trips him right into the puddle, and delivers a staggering 25 rapid-fire punches to the man's neck and head.
Leaving the Sahib completely dazed in the dirt.
It's wild, but it's vital to understand what dropping those astrology books means in the context of 1930s India.
Oh, absolutely. The Pandit is shedding his Brahminical purity and his intellectual high ground.
He is abandoning the sacred markers of his caste superiority to engage in raw, physical, lower-class brawling.
By pulling the Sahib into the mud, he strips away the Sahib's financial superiority, too.
In the mud, neither caste nor class matters.
It's just two men, and the Pandit is winning.
That levels the playing field entirely. But the brawl isn't over.
No, because we get to meet the supporting cast.
Out of the car steps the Mem Sahib, the Sahib's wife. Premchand is highly specific about her appearance.
She's wearing high heels, a silk sari.
She has powdered cheeks, painted lips, and darkened eyebrows. She steps out into this messy street fight and attacks the Pandit by poking him with her umbrella.
The term Mem Sahib is heavily loaded here.
It denotes a woman of high social status, often associated with the westernized or colonial elite.
Her attire represents luxury and extreme privilege, which is completely at odds with the muddy reality of the street she's just stepped into.
Our Pandit doesn't miss a beat, though. He lets go of the Sahib for a second, grabs a stick, and gently snatches the Mem Sahib's umbrella away.
He literally just tosses it to the side.
And warns her, very matter-of-factly, not to interfere in a men's fight, lest she get hurt.
He completely disarms her of her refined little weapon.
As he does this, the Sahib tries to regain the upper hand. He attempts to kick the Pandit with his heavy, expensive boots.
And how does the Pandit react?
The Pandit takes that stick he just grabbed and whacks the Sahib right on the leg, dropping him instantly.
Fells him like a chopped tree.
Exactly. And just when you think the dust is settled, the driver, who's been sitting safely in the car this whole time, finally decides to get out.
He attacks with a stick of his own.
But the Pandit simply hits the driver with his stick too, sending him rolling into the dirt right next to his boss.
What Premchand is doing here is a systematic dismantling of upper-class superiority.
He neutralizes the heavy, intimidating boots of the Sahib.
He brushes aside the refined, delicate umbrella of the Mem Sahib.
And he easily defeats the hired muscle of the chauffeur.
The armor of wealth, the clothes, the accessories, the staff, none of it protects them from the raw reality of the street.
Not once the aggrieved pedestrian decides to fight back.
So what does this all mean for the situation on the ground?
Well, a crowd is gathered. About 50 spectators are now watching this whole thing unfold,
The Sahib is still on the ground, stubbornly threatening police action.
calling the Pandit a rascal.
This is the moment the dynamic shifts from a physical altercation to a public trial.
The Pandit brilliantly uses the gathered crowd as his jury.
He publicly shames the Sahib. He tells him that while he might get 6 months in jail for this, he is going to cure the Sahib of his arrogance first.
He turns to the crowd to make his case. He accuses car owners of driving blindly.
Of splashing pedestrians on purpose because they are blinded by their own arrogance.
And the crowd is entirely on his side. One spectator loudly agrees, pointing out that rich people do this on purpose and then laugh at the victims.
The Pandit leverages the crowd to validate his actions. The victim has effectively become the judge.
When the Sahib, still trying to hold on to his crumbling authority, yells at the spectator and calls him a liar.
The Pandit simply raises his stick again and threatens to hit the Sahib until he admits the truth.
The terrified Sahib breaks. He stammers out, yes, he's telling the truth.
The systemic power of the wealthy man has been completely overridden by the collective power of the street.
It is a total reversal of fortune. Now comes the sentencing phase of this street trial, and the crowd gets creative.
Oh, they do.
Some people suggest making the Sahib and the driver lick the dirt, which is incredibly poetic.
A very literal way of making them taste the mud they so carelessly splash on others.
They eventually settle on something even more physically and psychologically humiliating.
They order the Sahib and the driver to do 100 sit-ups.
An Uthak-Baithak.
Right, while holding their ears.
And to add insult to injury, the Pandit orders the Mem Sahib to count them.
This specific punishment, the Uthak-Baithak, carries deep cultural weight.
It really does. It's a classic, deeply embarrassing schoolyard punishment in India.
Usually reserved for misbehaving children.
By forcing the wealthy, elite Sahib to perform it in front of 50 working-class pedestrians, the Pandit is completely stripping away his class dignity.
And his adulthood. It infantilizes the Sahib entirely.
Naturally, the Sahib refuses to do it. He just lies there in the mud.
But the Pandit has leverage.
He does. The car is parked right on the edge of the road, which has a steep ditch on either side.
The Pandit gives an order to the 50 men watching. Push the car into the ditch.
Attacking the person was one thing, but threatening the machine changes the stakes entirely.
The motor car is the ultimate symbol of their wealth and the very instrument that caused the problem in the first place.
The crowd eagerly lunges forward and starts pushing the expensive car toward the edge.
Panic immediately sets in.
The terrified Sahib groans, forces himself up from the mud, and begs them to stop. He finally agrees to do the sit-ups.
She starts, but the Mem Sahib flat out refuses to count. She tells them she won't do it.
The Pandit remains entirely in control. He tells the Sahib that if she won't count, he will just have to keep doing sit-ups all day until she does.
To save himself, the Sahib is forced to count his own humiliating sit-ups out loud in front of everyone.
1, 2, 3, 4. It is a complete stripping away of dignity.
He's not just being punished, he's being forced to participate in his own public shaming.
Counting out his own degradation while his wife watches and refuses to help.
Just as we reach the climax of this main altercation, the narrative takes a very interesting turn.
In the distance, another motor car is seen approaching.
The Sahib, desperate to not be seen in this pathetic state by his peers, completely breaks.
He rubs his nose in the dirt. He actually calls the Pandit father.
And he begs for mercy, swearing he will never sit in a motor car again.
The Pandit, seeing this absolute wretched submission, finally feels a pang of pity.
He releases him, but he leaves him with the core moral message of the entire story.
He tells him, I'm not stopping you from riding in a car, but even when you are in a car, treat humans like humans.
Treat humans like humans. You would think that is the perfect place for the story to end.
Right. The bad guy learns his lesson, the hero gets his justice, and order is restored.
But Premchand gives us a hilariously dark epilogue that completely changes the flavor of the narrative.
And challenges the listener's perspective.
This epilogue is where the story elevates from a simple revenge fantasy into a sharp psychological and social critique regarding the nature of power.
Remember that second car we saw approaching? It arrives at the scene.
But by now, the crowd hasn't just stayed at 50 people.
No, it is swollen to 100 strong. And they are all armed with stones, feeling totally empowered by what they just witnessed.
The phenomenon of de-individuation has taken hold.
The individuals in the crowd have lost their personal sense of responsibility.
And merged into a mob mentality, fueled by the intoxicating taste of sudden power over the elite.
The driver of this second car sees the angry mob and tries to just quietly sneak by.
The Pandit marches up to the car, grabs the driver by the ears, slaps him hard on both cheeks, and issues a stern warning not to splash mud.
The driver, looking at 100 men with rocks, doesn't say a single word. He just takes his slaps and drives away quietly.
And the escalation doesn't stop there?
Not at all. A minute later, a third car arrives.
This time, the Pandit has 50 men physically block the road so the car can't move.
He walks up to the occupants of the car and just gives them 4 slaps each.
Premchand notes specifically that the people in this third car were actually good men.
They hadn't splashed anyone, they hadn't done anything wrong.
But seeing the massive armed mob, they just happily took their 4 slaps and went on their way.
This ending synthesizes everything we've been exploring regarding social dynamics.
It demonstrates how profoundly corrupting power can be, regardless of who wields it.
What started as righteous vengeance for a very specific personal wrong
A Brahmin losing his livelihood and dignity because of a careless driver.
has quickly devolved into a reign of terror on the highway.
The Pandit went from being a victim seeking fairness to a street-side warlord terrorizing anyone who drove past.
He is no longer punishing an individual for a specific action. He's punishing an entire class of people.
Anyone who owns or drives a motor car.
The occupants of the third car were entirely innocent of the crime the Pandit was angry about, yet they suffered the penalty established by the mob.
Premchand is asking you, the listener, to reflect on a very uncomfortable truth about human nature.
When we are wronged by a specific group or a specific symbol of wealth and power, how easy is it for us to start judging and punishing everyone who fits that profile?
The oppressed, the moment they gain a sliver of unregulated power, often adopt the exact same indiscriminate cruelty as their oppressors.
The Pandit became the very thing he was fighting against. Someone using their position, in this case backed by a mob, to humiliate others without cause.
It is an incredible narrative arc.
From a muddy splash to a broken window, to forcing a wealthy man into schoolyard sit-ups, all the way to a full-blown highway checkpoint doling out slaps to innocent people.
Premchand really knew how to take a simple premise and stretch it to its absolute, logical, and chaotic conclusion.
It is a masterful piece of storytelling.
It operates perfectly as an entertaining physical comedy, but the subtext forces you to question the nature of justice, retribution, and how quickly the moral high ground erodes when anger takes the wheel.
To recap the brilliance of Premchand's Motor Casitay for you all, it truly is a hilarious, engaging story.
But beneath the surface, it serves as a biting critique of class arrogance.
The loss of human dignity in the face of rapid modernization.
And the incredibly seductive, corrupting nature of reclaiming power.
The Pandit's journey is both incredibly satisfying and deeply cautionary.
It serves as a stark reminder that justice, when fueled purely by untreated anger and the anonymity of a mob, rarely remains just for long.
Well, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to once again address our amazing YouTube audience.
Yes, to everyone watching on the Simplified Summary channel.
If you enjoyed this analysis, please make sure you hit subscribe, like the video, and drop a comment down below.
Let us know your favorite part of the story.
Did you cheer when the umbrella was tossed aside? Did you cringe during the sit-ups? We want to hear your thoughts.
Before we sign off, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over.
Okay, let's hear it.
We have spent this time watching the Pandit fight violently against the arrogance of the motor car owners. But imagine this scenario.
Right.
If the Pandit himself suddenly came into vast wealth, if he won a lottery tomorrow and purchased his very own expensive motor car, would he actually drive carefully through the puddles?
Oh, wow.
Or is there something inherent in the machine itself, in the speed, the enclosed glass, the physical elevation above the street, that makes the driver inevitably blind to the pedestrians struggling in the mud below?
That is a fascinating question to leave it on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone.
We'll catch you on the next one.